Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games live. That's right. In my zest to find time to do these, I have discovered that I want to try this, and if it sucks, we'll go back to the old format. But right now, this is a way to get rolling right now to keep giving you the weekend games. As I told some people a few weeks ago, life got busy and it was going to get less busy. I lied. So anyway, welcome to the weekend games. Let's just get right into it. It is fall, and it's the time when the eyes of the deciduous world turn inward, and that's usually a time when you're going to get in more games. People aren't at the beach anymore because it's frigid. Um, Gaming is in the air. Over October, I was able to get in a nice round of Mansions of Madness second edition, which to me is an excellent complement between digital medium and analog medium. I know that can be a touchy spot for some, but for some reason this game pulls it off and pulls it off in spades. I think just real immersive, real thematic, real, yeah, just even the music. Cause I love watching music when I or listen watching music, listening to music when I play games anyway. With that, let's get to the news. All right, fans of Fallout are going to be pretty happy if they really enjoyed the Fallout board game because Fallout New California has started to hit, and oddly, it hit at GameStop first. It's not even in our regular channels of board gaming. Weird, I know. I have a copy. I haven't played it yet. It's on my Christmas list, so I'll be giving it to myself this Christmas. I'm pretty sure I'll be excited about that. The other thing to note is that there's no major changes in gameplay. I know a lot of people were a little bit not thrilled with some of the ways that it worked for end game criteria. That hasn't changed. So if that bothered you before, it's not going to change now. POTUS, the Kickstarter I was really trying to see make it through, did not fund, and it was very clear why. It was, understandable fatigue and kind of war weariness of the entire subject of Trump at all, both positive and negative. So I do hope they come back someday and are able to reprint it because it is a phenomenal game. But I'm hoping that they take that series and instead of using maybe Trump as a theme, use a different style of theme with this four-player political Twilight struggle kind of tension. So. Discovered Lands Unknown is new and in stores, and it has a little gimmick. We'll talk about that later. The Final Flick tiered also did not fund, and because you know I love flicking games, I was hoping it would, but it did not. So, and finally, Carcassonne Safari for some good news. Carcassonne Safari is probably the only Carcassonne game since the original that's really like got me jazzed. I love Jumbo. I love any game with sort of that African theme and artwork, and so this is the most excited I've been for an African gaming adventure since Jumbo. And with that, let's get to my question of the week. The question is, how do I decide what games to keep and what to get rid of when I'm getting rid of games? This came up because I did a complete sweep of inventory last week. That was the other thing that took my time as I was frantically trying to get a milestone at work hit. Um, and I totally rearranged everything. And I basically piled up games that I was going to get rid of, and I started, like, why would you get rid of this over that? And I came up with sort of basically 5 questions that I asked myself in order to really go, do I like this game or not? Have no idea if this maps to other people, but here we go. The biggest question I ask is, start off, do I or my wife still play this game? If I do, we keep it. That's pretty obvious to people. Do I still love to own it? Because just because I don't play a game doesn't mean I'm absolutely giddy to have that game in my collection, particularly if it's out of print. Middle Earth Quest, War of the Ring, Memoir 44. These are games I don't play often, but I'm never getting rid of, ever. Because I love to own them, which to me is satisfying enough. Um, does anything else do everything this game does? If there, it's sort of the retirement principle. Like, if I was going to play this game, I might as well play this game instead. And that, if the answer to that is yes, then I probably get, it goes on the pile to sell, which has grown to be a quite big pile of sell. Um, does this fit into a possible future gathering, not just for myself, but for others that I might be a part of? Certain games I keep because they're great to pull out when people who don't normally play games like Bang the Dice game. Great game to just throw people into. Doesn't take long to learn, fast playing, a real hoot. I'm going to keep that one for that reason alone. And finally, is there enough market interest in it? That gets to the financial side of it is like if it's a game that's not going to give me more than a couple bucks, I might keep it, or I might just donate it sometimes. But if it's out of print and it's starting to be in demand and it doesn't fall under the other criteria, I get rid of it. So anyway, maybe that's helpful to you, maybe not. But those are the kind of the 5 questions I ask myself when I'm going through and purging my game collection. And with that, let's get to our 3 games of the week. First off, I still love me some Bob Ross. I liked it last year. I still like it this year. Bob Ross is soothing. Bob Ross is just Bob Ross. If you like Bob Ross, you're going to like this game. There's a couple of different games that have come out since, but this is the one I think is still my favorite. I think it does kind of the best job of trying to help people feel like they're making an artistic paint as poorly as they usually would if they were watching Bob and trying to replicate his skill. But yeah, definitely a 7 out of 10. Would definitely keep it. The other thing, next game, is Mark Herman's Fort Sumter. This is the lightest Mark Herman game I have ever played. He has done Churchill, Pericles, to name a few of some of the games that he's done, and those are thinky, very thinky. You wouldn't pull those out and go, "Hey guys, at the Halloween party, why don't we have some fun for 4 hours, 3 hours?" Well, Pericles definitely 4 hours. Fort Sumter plays in like 20 minutes. And it's basically about the secession crisis, the point right up to where the Civil War was pending and impending to start. Do I like it? It's okay. I actually don't. It's probably my least favorite of his games. I'd probably give it a 6. It does okay, but there are other games that kind of simulate tension a little better. And in my mind, it didn't really. I enjoyed reading about the secession crisis, but I don't think this game really felt like it was anything but kind of almost abstract. But oh well, others may like it. Definitely quality design, and over time, I've been wrong. I've been wrong before and had games not hit me right and then come back and then they start to grow on me, just like sometimes music. Finally, Discover Lands Unknown is a game I just received, and this is interesting because this game does not have the same game twice for everybody. Everybody gets a little different variant of it. How impactful that is, well, we'll see in another section. So far, I'm liking it. I'll be doing a review of that, although unfortunately, to do any review at all that isn't just light on facts, I'll probably be more of a little bit of a spoiler too, just FYI. Finally, it's time for Tim's Tantrum. Get off my lawn. So I am interested in these games of Keyforge and Discover Lands Unknown because they do something that is kind of new, and whether it's a new trend or whether it's just gimmicky, it is the, hey, you get a different version of this game than I get. Isn't that cool? I don't think so. But I don't hate it. So it's not really a tantrum more than it's just a curiosity on whether these games of, hey, I got a different version than you, it's going to drive people like me that are completionists mad, unless the combinations and variety are so vast that there's no way you'd ever collect them all. Keyforge is interesting how it crafts each person's card deck differently. But the question is, at some point, if you're building, it's sort of like random number generation dungeons, like at a certain point you run out of you're just running into such a similar fashion of combinations that you're like the combination itself is not that appealing anymore. And something could completely create new universes, like, hey, No Man's Sky is a PC game that you go into these worlds and they're vivid and rich and lifelike and different, and over time you start to feel like, okay, this is just this theme and that theme, and maybe the plants are in a different place, but it's still this theme and that theme. Discover Lands Unknown kind of actually reminds me of that, because you get 5 different types of terrain, you'll get 2 in each box. Do you collect all the boxes? And if you do, how different is it? Is it just going to drive me nuts that I don't have everything? But then I find out that it's really not that different? Probably so. I don't know. We'll find out in my review what I really think of it, won't we? But yeah, I am curious how that's going to work out with long term. I don't see this lasting. So maybe a year from now, you all can laugh and mock me when this becomes the greatest craze since Dominion. Anyway, but that's it. Thank you for joining me on the live showing. I try to keep these between 5 and 10 minutes. It doesn't have production values and this fadeaways and the intro and the outro, but I hope that it at least kind of gives me time. Maybe every other week I'll do a live one and stuff, so that I can keep bringing these out to you. Plus, Christmas is coming. There'll be reviews and there will be some top tens, games of the year, stuff like that. For those of you that start shopping, I know some of my friends definitely get their shopping started early. I start in October. I'm that kind of guy. Anyway, thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.